Like we're live.
Hello, hello. Good
Live.
afternoon, everyone.
Cool.
Thanks for joining.
Hi, hi everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Scoot Scoot Fridays. Today you'll be joined by me, Chris, Alwa, and Nadim. So Alwa CTO and Nadim our COO. And yeah, I mean we're here every Friday, jumping on to the live stream. We have some questions already submitted, which is great. Thank you so much for that, everyone. Which we'll be going through. And also, if you'd like to ask your questions now to any of the team or to the execs, please go ahead and do it in the video. Today, we're going to be focusing on a little bit more on the Proto Pro, as we just released the V5 version with the electric scooter guide, and that's a really, really good video. So we'll put a link in the chat as well, and we'll be walking a bit through it. A lot has been going on into this product. It's a new launch in many different ways, even the way we're launching it. We have walked through every single iteration, design concept, and been getting a lot of feedback from the community, which has been great on YouTube. And I've been walking through all of them and then progressing it. So the new launch process at Apollo is we launch 5 different iterations and we walk you through all the customers through it. On the V5, on the V6, we open up a beta program. And we have 100 to 200 customers testing the scooter for over a month and putting a lot of miles on it and really getting that feedback. And then after that is when we do the grand launch, just to ensure, again, quality is there and that the product is overall perfect for the market. So yeah, I mean, the big news this week on our side is we won the Red Dot Design Award for the Proto Pro. So I'm going to let Elwa just talk a little bit about that, and a huge shout out to Elwa and Iago, our designer, for it's a great accomplishment. And I know it's a life rewarding accomplishment, which is huge. So yeah, Elwa, I mean, if you want to walk a bit through, I guess, Red Dot, and also maybe just share a little bit more about the Pro V6 that you described in the video, maybe a little bit of a summary of what's new, what are your top 5 features, and what can the market sort of expect a little bit more on this product.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So what is Red Dot? It's like one of the most prestigious product design award in the world. And when we started, we saw Xiaomi that was winning it. I was like, it was from 2017 to be fair. So yes, the M365 did look impressive back then. But anyway, since we started, that was like a personal goal of mine and Iago, which is our designer behind the scene, to win that award, and we finally did with the Pro. We tried last year with the City, it didn't work out because we're against some tough competition like Tor. But this year the Pro, like, we were convinced that we're going to win, and we did. So we won the product design 2023 in a sport and leisure, which is a category of scooters. That's in the category which you can apply for scooters. And how it works is you have multiple categories. You have one like for e-bike, you have one for medical equipment, for scooters, you have some for accessories, like if someone design a beautiful headlight or a lock, a helmet, so you have a lot of different categories like this. And yeah, we won the one for scooters against Xiaomi with their new Flex. Do you know the name, Chris, of the new one that they just announced?
No, no.
Anyway, it's not impressive, so nobody's missing out on this. But yeah, we won, so really happy about it. And what is great is we won with the V5 of the Pro, not the V6, because how it works is you need to submit a whole presentation about the product, PDF explaining like why it's so good, and and you need to send a product as well. There in Germany, and we only had the V5 ready back then. So and you received the V5 without the display. Go ahead.
The funny story with that is that just again last year, we had a little bit of a hiccup because we air shipped it from China, the city, and it arrived late. So we're like, this year we're going to prepare everything perfectly. We're going to send it a month and 2 weeks in advance. Like, we're super on the ball. Everything's perfect. And literally, the product gets stuck in Russia because of what's happening with the war. And our product literally arrives on deadline day at like 2 p.m. So we were all like, thank you.
It's crazy
Classic.
because we paid someone to drive a truck from China literally to Germany, and the worst part is that we had the IoT to track it. So every day I was seeing it. It was passing like Kazakhstan, like all the countries. It was like even adding more to the stress compared to UPS. Usually, it's only like a clearance process and then it's there. Now it's like you follow every kilometers of it. And yes, we were emailing Red Dot every day saying it's arriving, and they're like, this is the last day after that We cannot wait.
And the cool thing is that we didn't even need the UPS tracking to track it. We could use IoT inside of the scooter to track it, which is really cool. Yeah.
I was talking to the driver, telling him to drive faster. But so this was the V5. So with the V6, it looked even better. The V6 is more refined. There's a display. We changed the grip, so it's really reassuring that even if it's not the latest sample that they receive, we won. And that leads me to your next question, which is what is the V6? The video of the V5 was just released. ESG2, the video that they released was the V5, and the V6. You could see a little bit of like a glimpse into it in the Pro ESG video. Is the big new features is the display. We decided to add a dot display. A dot display is really, it's like the new circulation, like traffic light that you see in the street. It's always divided into multiple LEDs, and this is the best kind of indication to fight against reflex. So, with the Phantom, with all our scooters or just all the scooters in general, you always have the problem of the reflection of the sun, and it's kind of hard to read. So for this one, we saw it on the VanMoof bicycle, which is a fantastic bike, and it's integrated to the frame. Their design is really sleek. We tried to do the same thing for the Pro, and it worked really well. And what is nice is before we didn't have any display and PCB to connect all the component to it, because how it works is you connect the throttle, the brake handle, the wireless charger, the lights. It all goes usually to the display, like on the Air in the city, and then you have a clean wire running down. So we didn't have a display, so we only had a big PCB inside the headset. It was taking a lot of space. It wasn't really clean. Now having a display, it's putting all those wire a lot more like neat, and it's helping for the waterproofness as well, because now the PCB is located on the actual headset itself, which is also waterproof. So overall, you're getting a display, and internally the whole structure of the electronic is way better. Yeah. And what can you see on the display? That's a big question. You're gonna see, you turn it on, you see our beautiful logo. Then it's the gear that you are in, 1, 2, 3, or Ludo, and then you switch to the speed, meaning really 2-digit. And at all time you can see the battery level under the digit, divided into 10 dots, so 10% each point. And when you put the turning signal, you're going to see the arrow like in motion, indicating on which side. You're going to see obviously the gear when you switch gear, and lastly the error code. So the error code, we're also pushing it to the app. So if you have one, you're going to see the app's going to tell you have a motor problem, and it's going to be filtered with like your AI that we are pushing on the app. So it's already going to give you the solution. You won't have to ask CX about it, customer service. It's going to detect the motor problem. It's going to already filter all the flow for the Pro motor problem solution. So that's really cool. But on top of that, it's putting it on the display in case you don't have the phone.
And this is another perfect example of feedback. Because I remember that I think the goal with the Pro was never to have a display. It was all to be on your phone. And then as soon as we launched the first video, we saw the community's feedback being like, sometimes my phone dies, or I live in a cold place, and like I don't want to always depend on my phone. And this is where Elwha came in with the dot display, which is a game changer. And it's really nice to have just in case something happens, or you don't want to ride in the rain, or anything can happen to your phone. So it's a really cool example on that. And then also, I guess this is a V6 that was launched. Is this is it still in beta, or will that be the final version being launched to the market?
So the Pro was always divided. The goal was to divide it in 5 iterations, and we added the 6th one because of the display. So if we don't see, obviously we're going to see some things with the beta group. That's the whole point. We think the scooter is perfect and ready to go since the V5, but I hope that with the beta group, we're going to receive some constructive feedback about what is working well, what isn't, what can be optimized, and it's going to be minor tweak. I won't add a second display or remove the regen. It's only going to be really minor. So the V6, I would say the beta testing group unit is 98% completed. After that, it's going to be minor tweak, maybe improving the paint job if we see problems. But yeah, the scooter itself won't really change. I think it's really going to come down to like the assembly step. We're going to refine the SOP, the QC at the factory, and that's it. And for the V6, for the beta production, we are going to China to supervise the sole assembly. So pretty excited about that. I think that's going to make a big difference because I know how to assemble it perfectly. So being on the ground and being able to train the employee to do it like we would do it, people can expect probably the highest quality check that we ever did on scooters.
Right. Yeah,
So
and I think one of the
that's a
interesting
crazy
things
part of
about
things.
the yeah, sorry.
Go
One of
ahead,
the
Nathan, go
interesting
ahead.
things about the beta program as well is like we only really talk about it from like a hardware perspective. We don't really talk about it from a software perspective too, right? Like the phone is such an important part of the scooter. So having people use the app with the scooter, also having this IoT functionality as well, really understanding how people are going to sort of elevate the scooter experience to more than just the hardware experience, but also have a software experience as well. Take that feedback, influence our app development roadmap, the features that we want to have, and then also, just like have a better understanding of how people are using our scooters in a day-to-day across so many different riders is going to go a long way towards making sure that final sort of when we're ready to mass produce and we're ready to ship to everyone, we have something that kind of like answers all of the use cases and needs of different types of riders as well, specifically as well from the software perspective too. So that's a really interesting part that we don't really talk about that much, but the software is so important to the scooter, and having a really smooth experience is what we're going for with the Pro.
Yeah, and I guess compared to, let's say right now, the only way to get feedback is like with those live that we're receiving comments, or as people write to CX and CX customer service, and customer service are sending us the suggestion. But what is really interesting with the Pro, to your point about the software, is people are going to be able to leave the feedback directly in the app and track. Like we are asking people to do 500 kilometers. You can have the progress bar every week. You're going to have different survey about the hardware, the software, and just a feedback section. So the loop of feedback is going to be much more efficient.
Yeah, and again, even just for context for people, because we don't talk too much about what happens in the back end of all of this. And the Pro, even on the V5 or V4 version, is probably the most tested scooter in product history, or like most controlled quality check and production thing. And that's why we're taking it so slow, because there's a lot of moving pieces. It's an incredible scooter. And for people who are like, oh, I'm not comfortable buying a beta, I think the word beta is take it with a grain of salt. It's really, a lot of iterations, and it's again the most tested scooter we've ever launched. So that's saying a lot in many ways, and that's why we want to make sure it's perfect for the market. So another question that came up was also when is the launch dates of the final Pro? I believe Elwar, correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking at them on Q3, Q4, so September, October of this year. That's still on the right dates, right?
Yep, if everything goes well, around September, October, I would like the production to be completed. So yeah, Q4 to be safe.
Yeah, and Jean-Charles, just to answer your question, is the beta program open in Canada and Quebec? It is in Montreal. We're from Montreal. Our office is in Montreal. We have a servicing location in Montreal, so of course it is available in Montreal. So if you're in Montreal or close by, then you would definitely be eligible for the program.
And so we'll also be jumping in between the questions. We'll get back to all questions for sure. But while we're just on the subject of the Pro here, one of the questions was just talking about the speed of the Pro and saying, it's much slower than other models and everything else. And this is really, really important. And I'll let you go a bit more on the differentiation factor. But at the end of the day, like the scooter is made for the majority of our riders who are looking for that luxury commute, and it's got everything from, again, the comfort with 12-inch tires, self-healing tires, maintenance. It's like the regen to not have a maintenance factor. But when we look at the stats of all of our riders, I think there's around 10,000 riders. You see on average speed ridden on the scooter is 27 kilometers an hour, and the peak power is only hit 1 or 2% of the time with the rider. So like, it is always nice to look at the speed and say, we can go up to 60, 100 kilometers an hour, and that's easy to do on a scooter. But you also have to be realistic that you have to make a scooter where the majority of people are going to use it to their needs. And I know Ferrari can go 300 kilometers an hour, but how many times would someone actually hit that speed mark? I don't know if you guys have anything else to add on to that, but really the class that we're pushing this in is it's a luxury, long-lasting vehicle that's going to be perfect in build quality. It's futuristic with the software, which makes it much easier and a much better customer experience overall. And it's not a power high-speed beast that we're trying to create. It's really the best riding experience Apollo's ever created, technically.
And it's the fastest, as far as I can tell, based on like the ESG database. I think it's the fastest 52-volt scooter ever made. So in that category of 52-volt, which is the maximum we're gonna do, it is the fastest. So I think, I think the speed it's achieving is definitely good enough for like regular, like day-to-day commuting. And yeah, you're right. People like on the back end, we see every time they are hitting the top speed of that specific scooter, and it's almost never happening. And it's the same thing for the range. All the people want 45 kilometers of range, but they do 5-7 kilometers on average. So I think it's a nice stats to see. Like when you buy a scooter, this one can go up to 70 kilometers per hour, but yeah, in reality, it's not really useful. And that being said, we can still optimize it. Like there's a way for us to unlock it. Like the one for ESG, we were like a bit rushed to on the software side to unlock all those things, but we can't make it faster. And if this is really what we were like seeking for, we could just take the Mach 2 and put a 60 volt in it. The Mach 2 can handle more current, and that's it. With this we could go 80 kilometers per hour. But again, that's not the goal. And I think it's what people are going to realize. It's the same thing as the regen brake. It takes time, I think, for people to realize just how important it is. I think the speed is the same thing. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't even want to put a display on the scooter at first. It's like, I don't think you should look at the speed when you ride. It's just how it feels. Does it feel like you're going fast enough? Like that's really what matters to me. And yes, it does feel like you're going fast enough.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think maybe Matchup brought this up at some point. I don't know if it was in one of these live sessions or sort of like when we were chatting. You have your odometer in your car and it goes up to 200, 220, but like you're at most going 100, 120 kilometers an hour, So like, yes, those like that is possible potentially to do, but it's not really useful for you. Like we wanted to move this discussion away from, what looks good on paper and, what can we brag about in terms of like top speed and it's not useful at the end of the day. We wanted to focus all of our effort on things that are going to impact you every single time you hop on the scooter. And even when you're away from the scooter, being able to track the scooter, being able to lock the scooter, having that peace of mind with the scooter, getting information on your stats, what Elwal mentioned with just having a smarter integration between the hardware and the software for diagnostic and understanding what errors are coming up or how your components are performing. Like those are all things that are happening under the hood that are going to have a real tangible impact on you every single time you turn on the scooter. And the top speed isn't like the max speed is not going to do that. So, the discussion, I understand a lot of people want the performance. They look at the performance per dollar, but then I say like, maybe the Pro doesn't stack up on a performance per dollar spec, but from a features per dollar spec, it does. And it far exceeds anything that we've seen in the market. So I would say like for us, it's more about the experience of riding a vehicle rather than how fast can it go. Like that's too simple of a problem. Like we're solving, I think with the Pro, we're trying to solve a much deeper problem than that, and really trying to make an impact on people's lives as they use the scooter every single day.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to that feature set. Yes, like waterproofness and IP66. It doesn't sound sexy, but it's one of the biggest features that's demanded by the majority of our customers. So like that, we'd rather reinvest the money instead of putting a super, super high voltage battery or motor to encompass a perfect vehicle overall for all our customers. And that's why, again, I think small things like IP66, it's incredibly rare in the scooter category, but the Pro has it for a reason, right? So all those come together in a very good feature set. So, okay, guys.
And I think quickly on that, Chris, is that like everyone is paying the same price for aluminum batteries and everything, right? So if someone put more money into the voltage and the battery, well, they are cutting somewhere else. And we are putting all the money on the safety and the build quality. So we have to keep it 52 volts. So if like build quality and safety is truly what it's important for you, well, just based on those stats, that this is where we are investing.
Yeah, cool. So we'll go quickly through this list of questions. Otherwise, there's one more on the Pro here. On the new phone mounts on the Pro V6, is there going to be a vibration dampener on the phone mounts?
No. Why? Because if you go at the Quadlock website, you have vibration dampener as an offering. Two things: you cannot have wireless charger with that vibration thing because it's too far, and also and we asked Quadlock, we're like, should we put it on our scooter? We're gonna go off road. There's a lot of bumps, and no, they said it's because when you put it on a motorcycle, for example, a motor of like a Harley Davidson or whatever, it's like it's revolutioning at maybe 14,000 like RPM. So the vibration, and you see it like the hands of people are shaking like crazy like this. So the stabilizer like in the cameras are all getting messed up. And it's really because of this. It's not because of the bump of the road. So no, you don't need it. And the proof is when people go mountain biking and they do the crazy jump and everything, they don't have the vibration dampener. So no, you don't need it. And Quad Lock is one of the most safety advanced. Like they do so many tests to a point that it's almost ridiculous. Like they tried that and they say, no, you don't need it. So no, you don't need it.
Cool. Perfect. So we have one from Marc Durocher. I have a question about charging my Phantom 2023. If I'm doing only short rides, 5 to 10 kilometers a day, should I charge after every day, or should I wait until the battery gets down to a certain percentage?
Ideally, you always charge it up to 80%, like in the ideal world, but just never let it discharge it. Like, yeah, but baseline, keep it to 80% when you can. Cool.
Okay, there was another comment that we discussed about speed for the Pro. That's all good. Regarding Android version of the app, it keeps resetting the regen braking strength for my Phantom to 0. Any thoughts on how to fix?
Yeah, you probably are on Android. We received a new fix for that from our controller factory today. We're going to be pushing the app Monday, right? Yeah, Monday. And we're pushing iOS today. So from today to Monday, it should all be fixed. Yeah.
Excellent. Tommy DeVille, I'm looking forward to owning the scooter. I applied for the beta program, hoping to get in and get a scooter ASAP. I live in the Midwest of the US, in Missouri to be exact. I hope it won't hurt my chances. So no, so the way we're doing the beta program is in 2 waves. One is where our repair centers are located, and that's the first wave to ensure the first wave goes smoothly and that you have all the support possible. The second wave is to most people. So I believe you should be fine based on that. Nadeem, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's sort of the way we're executing it now.
Yeah, I think one of the things we wanted to make sure of is because the beta program, there are kind of like requirements that you are hitting certain mileage and that you're using the scooter in a certain way. We want people who are participating in the program to be as close as possible to repair center options so that in case something goes wrong, you're not sitting waiting for the scooter to be repaired or aren't able to repair the scooter. And then it's sort of like, the beta program's not doing what it was intended to do. So we are prioritizing people that are close to repair centers. At the moment, we don't have one in Missouri. So Tommy, for the beta, I'm sorry, it's probably a little less likely. But definitely once the beta is done, you would definitely be able to get one. But yeah, there was a question on repair services generally. So and servicing centers. So maybe I'll just pivot the discussion there really quickly. We are looking to expand our coverage significantly. It's a major priority for us this year. We want to have local servicing options basically in every city. One of the issues that we have with that, though, is that we're very, very mindful of the safety aspect. Anyone who's touching the scooter needs to know how to perform all the repairs. And we want to make sure that anyone who we're sending customers to, or at least, promoting in any way or allowing basically to fix our scooters, has the necessary knowledge to do so. So we're finalizing and sort of working through a certification program, which has 3 levels, sort of like a basic repair certification, a sort of like intermediate, and then a more advanced repair certification that we're going to mandate that all of our partners, both current and future, are sort of doing and certified for, and sort of like refreshing their knowledge. So preparing that program is taking a little bit of time. Obviously, as you can imagine, there's a lot of different models, a lot of things that could potentially go wrong. The repairs sometimes, vary from being very easy to very complicated. So we want to make sure that that's all put in place before we start expanding to both our own hubs, but then also third-party authorized centers as well.
Cool. Thanks, Nadeem. Another last question, I believe, is will you be delivering the Apollo Pro to the UK? So as with all our product launches, we do it firstly in our core markets, so US and Canada, just to ensure everything goes well. And that's where we know we have confidence on, we need to be confident on being able to service if anything does happen. But eventually, yes, it will be available in the UK, Australia, etc. At a certain point in time, of course. We expect this to be everywhere. Perfect, guys. So I think that's pretty much it for the questions. A huge thank you to everyone in the comments just saying hi, the David Vosks, the Blakes, everyone who's giving us a lot of shout outs. Thank you so much for your support and love here. And please keep the feedback coming. We're here every week. Please send all your questions. We keep this as transparent as possible just to ensure you're up to date. And we really, really need your feedback to get to where we want to be. So yeah, Elwha, Nadim, thank you so much for your time again today as well. And yeah, we'll be back next week. So have a lovely weekend, everyone. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right, it's just me now. Let's discuss Scooter. Bye, everyone.